So the government comes along, they shut our water off. In the next couple weeks, they're gonna be beating their chest down in Victoria and saying, look what we did. We saved the salmon. We shut off all those big bad farmers in Westwold, and the rivers jumped 4 inches. But little do people know that Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does. We're gonna get some rain, we're getting cooler nights. That river always jumps 4 inches this time of year.
Just as Clay said, it's August 31st. We got the start of the fall rains. My opinion, it's almost 11 days earlier than I probably would have had marked on the calendar, but we knew they were coming. So perhaps born and bred local producers, they know what's coming. The springs and the tributaries are flowing again, many of them. It's like textbook. It feels that paper rules and the woke movement of that terrible woke movement that just wants to limit food production here in the name of radical environmentalism, radical climate change opinions. They are detrimental to the family operator. They're detrimental to anyone who's going to fill their tank of gas up today with enhanced taxation. This little rain this morning, as minor as it is it just blows it all out of the water. We don't want to strike fear with this interaction. We want to strike facts, and we want to strike law. And I think the law was broken by the BC government, the federal government here.
Such is the way of the world, you can never know just where to put all your faith and how will it grow. Gonna rise up, burning black holes and dark memories. Gonna rise up, turning mistakes into
Your being here is really, really important. Because one thing I've learned about this urban government, because that's what they are, it's an urban government, we should be really clear about that. They care about what happens in the Lower Mainland and Vancouver Island, pretty much not anywhere else, is that the only time they react or get nervous about what's happening is when a group of people actually get together and start raising their voices as one. But it gets pretty damn frustrating when you got people that don't listen to local folks that have knowledge and skills and a lot of experience in dealing with issues, whether it's forest fires or water issues or whatever the case may be. Not every government decision will be one you agree with, but my God, when they're making decisions without talking to people like Bob Jones that actually know a thing or two, have grown up here, spent their entire lives here, that's where you get really poor decisions being made. And I have to tell you, it just irritates the hell out of me that there's not even a single person from government that would take the time to show up, whether a bureaucrat or an elected NDP member, to come here and at least listen, have the courtesy of just listening to some local knowledge.
But just to bring it back just down to practical basics that government rarely ever looks at from a farming point of view. You cut off irrigation, there's less feed, there's less pasture. Small farmers have to buy more hay. There's less hay. Prices of hay go through the roof. Small farmers can't afford to keep their flocks. Flocks and herds are dispersed. Abattoirs go nuts for a couple weeks or a couple months, then they're out of business. Now you have less farmers, and you have less food production. There's the surefire way to cut out food production is to cut off water. And it's not just about water, it's about the whole cycle that follows that. And it seems like they're just looking at very small pieces of this, as in water. Why not work with people and try and sustain small business and farming from every aspect, not just water?
Well said. Eric Buff.
Hello, I'm Eric Buff. We're from here in Westwold. Title and right of land. These water licenses are a title, like our land, and they are tied to our titles of our land. So we're treading in some pretty dangerous territory here when someone takes a title and tells us that we're going to be suspended. You can't suspend a land title. So we're getting into dangerous, it's not even personal freedoms, it's the essential of ownership in this country. So if somebody could speak to that too, thank you very much.
It was sure exciting to see so many different areas, the producers from those areas come. Shows you that the struggles are, the united voice is always a little better. We can only speak to our own issues, but a lot of guys telling the same sort of stories in other regions around here. And, everybody's got something to lose here, and I think that's the common theme. The way this thing has been handled it's just been flat out wrong. It's just been unbelievable from the start, and that voice is sure echoed throughout the group today. I guess, the local MLA put this together as an information gathering thing, which, hopefully something positive comes out of it. That's all we can hope anymore is positive, so.
We're running behind. And they come along and shut the water off right when we needed that last crop to break even or to make a meager profit. That's not right. Can we turn the water on today? Answer that, please.
So if our local representatives from our regions, and it wasn't just our region, like I said, it was multiple regions, cannot take this to the legislature, the system is completely broken. So now we're getting down things that are bigger than just this water license.
Yeah, I think we should go to the further one first.
Just go check if it's active, or do we grab that? Bro.
I think I'd like to bring him. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell where that one is coming.
Well, we can walk. Let's walk to the pump house there.
How long have you been a natural resource officer for?
About 10 years.
Have you ever expected having to do something like this?
Oh. I think this is the worst I think I've ever seen water levels in this area. I'm actually out of the Revelstoke office. So.
Well, we're not seeing any evidence being backed up. They're drawing from deep aquifers that aren't affecting the river levels, and they're just wanting information. Instead, what they're being given is tyrannical control.
Yeah.
Are you an aquifer expert?
That I am not. That's handled by Water Branch. It's kind of part of the Ministry of Forests.
So then why, if you guys aren't aquifer experts, why are you able to come here and shut down their pumps that are not drawing off of the river, but drawing off of aquifers?
So we always rely on the science from the experts from our ministry.
Where is the science?
You could contact them. I could give you the
They have
number.
tried to contact them.
And you know, from my side of things, I'm just here trying to do what kind of we've been instructed to do. And I can't speak for other departments within the ministry, but yeah.
I think you're part of something bigger than you realize right now.
Yeah.
So there are 3 wells, and
So we'll turn off the one that I believe is the one just adjacent to the pump house here.
okay.
Do you guys know how much rain we got here in the last week? And what the temperatures have been? We've got a substantial amount of rain here.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the exact amount of rain that has come down.
You should be if you're issuing warrants to come and shut these farmers down, don't you think?
What we're doing today is
It's criminal.
no, it's something you can discuss with the landowner. And Simon, I've answered the same question several times.
You
And
don't
so
know how much rain has come down here.
you can go to
You don't know
the
how
landowner.
much the aquifers have been replenished.
You can go to the landowner and speak with him about your
You don't
questions.
know
I can't speak to them.
The flow that has increased to the salmon.
Rather than having a separate. So that's what he's confirming is the.
Yeah, like obviously we saw the nozzle at the end was rotating, and now it's no longer. There's still some water coming.
Like
in
I say, it's got a downhill run, so there's going to be
some pressure. In
somewhat draining into that far end.
There's sequence to turn it on these pivots without blowing them all apart.
I don't know if they blow them all apart. Are they gonna fix them? Pay to fix them?
Are they turning them back?
Do they know what buttons to push?
Water pumping somewhere.
I am impressed.
So Sam, you guys turned it off, now you're turning it back on? Can you explain the process?
A couple days ago,
No,
they
I'm not
had
an
a
expert in
little
wells. I'm
bus
sorry, I
session
can't
down
explain the
a little bit
process.
So if you guys turn this back on and there's a water hammer and blows their $100,000 pivot to pieces, what happens then? Do you know what happens if you blow their pivot apart?
You can ask the landowner those questions.
Hell of an answer.
What is the limit of a salmon you can catch down there on South Thompson right now? What's the limit? 4? That means that I can have 4? And you can have 4? Could Simon have 4? Huh. I don't think we're trying to say fish here anymore, boys.
Eric and Giving, on the 25th I asked you guys to shut down irrigation as per the order, and I'm asking you to do the same thing again today. Will you shut down this system, the pivot that's currently irrigating?
I think the man shut it down already, didn't he? It's not running.
No, he's turned it back on.
It's not running, Sam.
It's not running, so he's got a problem.
Is it sprinkling?
No, he probably blew apart the pipe under the ground.
If it did, make note that it blew apart today.
Sam, can you address this question? Have you guys done any damage? Sam, if you guys damage the irrigation, who's going to be held accountable for that?
Simon, as mentioned earlier, this is between the landowner and us, and we will answer questions from the landowner, but there's privileged information that we can't
So
share.
what
with
just occurred today?
This morning about 10 o'clock a.m. we got a couple phone calls that the NROs were in the valley. There was 3 of them with a cop. We went down the road here a little bit, and sure enough they were on the side of the road. We actually pulled up to them and they served us with a warrant for 3 of our properties.
They wanted to do a connectivity
They
test.
wanted to do a connectivity test. So they went through the motions of there. They couldn't figure out how to turn on the pumps. So then we came over to this field, which we call the church field. And they were going to start up this pump to see if there was any connectivity with it. And we had just asked them, you'll see on the footage, whether they knew if the valves were open or if they were going to blow the main lines apart.
So you want to start this one? One second.
What do you think, Larry?
I think they don't got a fucking clue. Oh.
Yes.
Okay. If you think you can do it safely, then let's move forward with it.
Well, again, I'm not here to cause any damage. So if we could start this well, if I could start this well, I'm just asking if there's a procedure.
You do your investigation, sir. You're getting paid the big dollars, I'm sure, by these little guys in green shirts. You do your job, but you will have the repercussion of what you bring.
Okay, thank you. Well,
if you want to talk somewhere else too, let's go somewhere.
Okay.
Come with us.
Very low chance of any damage or anything like that, but there's always that potential.
It's your call. Don't feel pressured to do anything. It's with it. Whatever's within your scope.
I'm gonna bump it and just see what we get there and see how it operates. This type of system can be set by that drive to accelerate slowly, or it might accelerate quickly. If I'm feeling unsure about it, I'll set it to stop and we'll make another plan.
Yep. Okay.
So it's not starting by normal means. I could switch it to hand. We could see if we get pressure up on it then. Oh, here we start. I'm sorry, I can't hear over top of the fans.
They're asking about some valve being on.
They're sorry, I couldn't hear from in there.
Before you start firing this shit up, you should figure out how the fucking system works.
Before you break everything apart.
That's what we're saying. Did you hear that?
Okay, guys.
So figure it out before you start blowing shit all to fucking pieces.
So how about we start over? Go back to your bosses.
We're not
and you
doing
go
this.
back
Let's
to
leave.
Crompton.
Like,
You
let's
should.
leave. Yeah.
You should. And then I ask if Jim Hills or even Crompton's here or Ralsted. Maybe you guys should take a little school session on what you boys are figuring out, because this is way over your heads. You guys better use this plan and say, what was? What we done? Come back out this again. Maybe then we'll have to fight someone else. You boys better get your shit figured out. Do we want to meet at the next location, or is the field trip over for the day?
These last times that they were on the property, they were here without a warrant.
This is the first day they actually brought warrants.
This is a mass overreach of power on an issue that doesn't need a police officer and 3 natural resource officers investigating. And to allude to, like Galen just said, if this was a work together order and we were met with over the last few weeks, we probably could have hashed something out across the table about water usage if we were indeed proven it was given to fish.
They have never, as of yet today, on the 6th of September.
Well, we would have.
I asked Crampton for a letter, or for a meeting through a letter yesterday. Mr. Crampton, out of the Okanagan office, I've yet to hear a word.
So yeah, we definitely, I think in the first few days of this, before things got so heated, we should have been approached as a users group and talk about strategies, and we would have shared what we could have done for a greater good, of a resource. But all resources are precious, not just one. Well, clearly right now, whether it's this area or other areas, this thing isn't over, and everybody needs to be aware and bring this, especially if you're a consumer or a farmer. All parties, all citizens need to be aware of it. This thing isn't over.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to wrestle a calf and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to call hogs, tame cantankerous machinery, come home hungry. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night with a newborn colt and watch it die, then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. God had to have somebody willing to ride the ruts at double speed to get the hay in ahead of the rain clouds and yet stop in midfield and brace to help when he sees the first smoke from a neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody who'd bail a family together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing, who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes when his son says that he wants to spend his life doing what Dad does. So God made a farmer.